Welcome to the I'd Rather Be Reading Comics Podcast, Issue 3, recorded on the 27th of July. I'm here joined with Ryan
Hello.
and Alan.
That's me.
Alright, it's not just me and Ryan this time.
So it'd be infinitely
Yeah,
better.
I can actually join you guys this week.
Alright, so since it was just me and Ryan last week, we couldn't do it around the horn, but this week it's back!
Yay.
First topic we want to talk about, Batman versus Superman, what is it called? The Dawn of Justice?
Yes.
Sure.
What a terrible
Until they change the
name.
name again next week.
The trailer was leaked from Comic-Con, and it looked pretty sweet. I like the giant bat suit that he's wearing.
Yeah, I wanted to know how much of the script they're stealing from The Dark Knight Returns. Like, I really feel like that's all they're going to do. They're going to make that movie, and Superman's going to be in it for like 10 minutes.
Well, isn't that the idea? I mean, I don't remember who that actor is. He's a relatively well-known black actor. When that was first announced at a Comic-Con, what was it, last year? He's that guy with a real deep voice, and he read verbatim right out of the book where the line where Batman's holding Superman by his throat, and he says, "Don't forget I can beat you at any time." But yeah, I think the whole idea is that they're just pulling most of it right out of the book.
I think that there's going to be some differences. I think that, like, instead of it being very Batman-centric, I think it's going to be dealing with the aftermath of the destruction of Metropolis. But I will agree that, like, I'm hoping that they actually put a good quality version of the trailer out on the internet, so, like, I don't have to watch it at an angle and not be really sure what's going on, because
It's very dark.
It's crap. It's very, very crappy.
Well, I mean, you do understand that so far this was announced as originally I thought we were going Man of Steel 2, and then we're like, oh, we're gonna get Batman involved. Oh wait, it's gonna be Batman versus Superman. Oh, now they're hold on. Oh, this is the Justice League.
Yeah, pretty much. Everyone's going to be in it.
Because we got Aquaman, Wonder Woman showing up, which, by the way, the whole Gal Gadot thing, I don't know if you guys want to talk about that later or now, but...
We can talk about it now. Why don't we just get it out of the way?
Well, hold on. Let's go back to the Justice League thing. Like we talked about last week, DC's not going to merge their shows and their movies.
Right. Well, they
so
can't,
what about the Flash? It's not the Justice League without the Flash, in my opinion.
No, the Flash will be in it. It just won't be the guy from the Flash TV show.
Well, wait, hold on. Who's doing the movie? Like, who's producing it?
Warner Brothers is, and Zack Snyder is directing.
So isn't CW part of Warner Brothers?
Yes, but they don't want to mix their communities, and it kind of makes sense because when you see like what they're blowing through on Arrow, like they're going to use Ra's al Ghul there, but it's not going to be Liam Neeson. It's going to be the guy from The Mummy, which I actually think is decent casting. But it allows them to recast and not have to deal with like the stuff that happens on the TV show that's going to be really hard to make into the movie. I think honestly it's a smarter move. I know that we're all kind of disappointed because we all want to see Stephen Amell as Green Arrow and Grant Gustafson as the Flash on it. But like, look how terrible of a show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was, because they were basically pigeonholed by not wanting to do anything that really disrupted the movies.
Yeah, but you're talking about Marvel. Marvel's thing is the big screen.
And
they don't transition so well to television. CW, I mean, the DC, their thing is TV shows. I mean, look, going all the way back to the original Flash, then you've got Smallville was a hit. I mean, they went 10 seasons. It was a great show. They are good.
Really going back to the original Flash, we're not going to include Adventures of Superman that ran for like 10 years.
I did that on purpose because I knew I could get a rise out of you if I didn't mention it. Just like whenever we talk about
Batman
Superman, I don't include the Christopher Reeves.
3 seasons of Wonder Woman.
I have nothing to add because I never watched Smallville or Adventures of Superman or Batman 66.
They were really good shows. But yeah, see, I mean,
DC's
thing is shows. DC does shows. That's what they're great at. I mean, we could talk about the box office, but then you're talking about, Ryan Reynolds and Green Lantern, and I mean, I was so excited for it, and even in the theater, I'm watching this, I was like, this is fantastic. And then you go back and you rewatch it and you're like, wow, this is shit.
As the resident Green Lantern fan,
Yeah, I know,
knew
of
it was
course.
crap as it was on, and I was like, tears were streaming down my cheeks as I was watching it.
I think I remember consoling you in the theater. We went to see that together.
Yes, we did. Oh, it was so
But
terrible.
see, like, you see their attempt. Now, I mean, I guess I can't really say it because you know how much I couldn't stand Man of Steel when I first saw it. And I've gone back and watched it, and I still have my qualms about it, but overall, I can sit back and enjoy it now.
Yeah.
I actually do like it, but I truly believe this is the first time that DC put out a really worthy movie.
Yeah. And, well, you know, like, Batman vs. Superman has a lot on its shoulders. Like, it's going to make or break the DC cinematic universe. I mean, much like Spider-Man 2 has totally put the brakes on a lot of what Sony was doing.
Right.
Like, they pushed back Amazing Spider-Man 3, and they gave its spot to Sinister 6, and no one's talking about a Venom movie anymore. I mean, you know, this movie has to make over $1 billion so that they can say, okay, now we can make a Justice League movie. And they're trying to hedge all of their bets because Wonder Woman's going to be in it, Aquaman's in it, Cyborg's supposedly in it. So they're going to throw everything they can so they can hit almost every fanboy and go, you may not care about Superman, you may not care about Batman, but you like Wonder Woman, you like Cyborg, you like Aquaman. Hey, Game of Thrones fans, Aquaman's played by the guy who we killed in the first season.
You know, there's actually
Spoilers.
There was actual solid confirmation about that. It's pretty like it seems apparent. Everybody's pointing that way, but there's also been a rumor that he might be playing Doomsday.
Oh, I hope not.
So I don't know. Either way, before we go any further, I need to go back on my previous statement about the terrible movies that have been put out and like talk about because if people listen to this, they're gonna be like, "No, asshole. What about Batman?" And I'm gonna say, "Okay, yes, Batman is a DC character, and if you start off with Michael Keaton's Batman, great. And if you talk about the last trilogy with Christian Bale, great. Everything in between is crap. So in the Batman category, DC's batting like I don't know, like 4 for 9." So it's not a good percentage.
That's not too bad.
Where are you getting your math from? There were 7 movies.
7. Batman, the original Batman.
Yep. Batman Returns.
Batman Returns.
Batman and Robin.
Batman and Robin. Batman Forever.
Batman
4, and
Forever.
then a trilogy, and that's 7.
Oh, I thought there was more.
You're an idiot, Alan.
Okay, fine. Let's talk about every single one of your reviews that I have to edit and rewrite for you, clown. Okay? So
all right. Let's not get off topic.
Let's note how many there are. So,
all right, hold on.
Like,
Back on Batman vs Superman. We went way off topic. Way off topic.
And it makes for good radio.
All right. Well, let's talk about the Batman pick that was released. The Batchin. And my friend told me that he looked very sad and sullen. I was like, no, he's wondering and thinking about all the ass kicking he's gonna have to do in the next 20 to 30 minutes. And he's like, you know what? Makes sense.
I can't remember who posted it, but when that picture came out, there was someone who had actually posted, is Batman going to look sad through the entire movie? Because the first picture they posted, Batman looked sad, and in this picture, Batman looks sad. And, I mean, it's, okay, just show me a full-colored version of the costume already. I mean, you treated us to Wonder Woman, you've treated us to Superman, just give us like a full-colored version of the Batman costume so we know what we're kind of dealing with.
Also, show me a picture of Batman smiling.
No, I don't want Batman smiling. That's Adam.
No. I meant from the comic books. Go back and find a picture of the recent Batman just striking a pose, giving us a smile.
There's the selfie cover.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
But he's not doing the smile himself. That's Superman doing the smile.
Now, the best thing I saw all weekend involving that picture was Nemo being superimposed, touching his chin.
Oh,
you guys remember
touch
that
the butt.
scene?
Yes.
Nemo touched the butt. That's like that was the best thing all weekend that I saw. Other than that, I did not see that trailer. But like I was telling you guys before, I do like short ear cowl Batman.
Yeah.
I like and see, I'm a fan of both. I like the tiny ears, but I don't remember, Ryan, you would know who the artist is, Back, I think it was maybe 90s when Batman was drawn with the really long ears on his cowl. I kind of like that too.
I cannot think of his name, so I'm losing a lot of comic book nerd street cred here, but he also created the mask. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah.
With really long ears. Yeah, his name is escaping me.
Yeah, and that art style, it's kind of reminiscent of like when Joe Mad does Wolverine, kind of a grittier. I don't know, I really like that. But that being said, I don't know. So far from what I can see, just the face shot, like the cowl that Affleck has on, I kind of like it. So.
Yeah. Oh, it's his costume. His costume looks like what they did with, like, let's be honest. The costume for Man of Steel is New 52 Superman costume, almost verbatim. Like, there are a couple of things that are not exactly like the New 52 costume, but I mean, like, the general setup is that. And if you look at the Batman costume, it's very similar to that respect. It has a lot of the New 52 feel to it, but it has the Frank Miller Dark Knight Returns big bat on it. So,
Okay, yeah.
So I mean, say what you will about Zack Snyder, but whenever he does a comic book movie, he really does try to get the visual aspects from the comic book onto the big screen. Like, look at Watchmen. Almost all of those costumes were verbatim from what they were in the comic. Same thing with 300. So I think he kind of understands that. Which is why I was kind of surprised, and I will say happily surprised, that the Wonder Woman costume looked absolutely nothing like the New 52 Wonder Woman costume.
Did you see the recolored?
Not that I have a problem with it at all. I actually like the Wonder Woman New 52 costume. I was so glad that they went away from the red, white, and blue costume, which never made any sense, and the explanation that they gave for why she wore it. Here, wear this because you're taking Steve Trevor back to America, and the Americans will know that you're not a threat because you're wearing red, white, and blue, and you're draped in American splendor. If that worked, Nazi Germany would have kicked our ass and just put American flags on everyone. We'd all be speaking German.
I actually like the costume.
Really?
It's no, because I mean traditionally the Wonder Woman I know was the red, white, and blue, and then the New 52, the transition into this new costume, I liked it. My biggest concern is Gal Gadot, if that's even how you say her name. She isn't what I envisioned, or not who I envisioned playing Wonder Woman. From the Fast and the Furious movie, she's always been tall, lanky, skinny. I just didn't. It looks like from the photo, it looks like she maybe bulked up a little bit.
Yeah, she did.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, with the accent that she has, she's some sort of Indian. I don't know. I mean,
she is.
No, what?
She's
Go
not
ahead.
Indian. She's
like Israeli.
Yes, she's Israeli.
All right, they neighbor each other, so. Whatever. Close enough. She's not what I envisioned Wonder Woman
Greece
to be.
isn't that far from Israel either. So, I mean, like...
All right, yeah.
Alan is culturally illiterate.
Someone from India.
I'm not culturally
and
illiterate,
someone
maybe
from
geographically
Greece.
challenged.
Which one would you say she looks more like? Does she look more like Apu? Or does she look more like Wonder Woman? Which one is it, man?
Whatever, it just it bothers me.
All right. Okay, let's go on a new topic for Around the Horn.
Okay.
All right, let's talk about Valiant and their movie business they're going into. I'm a little upset.
Armstrong just got announced.
Yeah, I'm personally a little upset because I want an Exo Manowar movie.
They're making one.
Oh, it'll come.
But it hasn't been announced.
Oh, it hasn't?
Well, it doesn't have to be. Exo Manowar is a big title for Valiant, and if I had to guess, if I had to imagine, that movie's going to be a ton of CGI, a lot of special effects, more so than what you get from the drunken tandem Archer and Armstrong, and Bloodshot's probably going to be heavy CGI too, but they got picked up by Sony.
Okay, so this is what the Valiant movies remind me of.
Okay.
I want to take you all back to like the mid-90s. The Batman movies were coming out. Everyone was like super excited, and there was this rush to do
And gas was cheap as
superhero movies that no one had any idea who these characters were. And the general public, comic book fans know who Archer and Armstrong is. I mean, they've been around since the late 80s, early 90s. we know who Bloodshot is, we know who Exo Manowar is, but we're like in the trenches. This is the same thing when they decided to do a Shadow movie with Alec Baldwin, when they decided to do the Phantom, when they did the Rocketeer. These were characters that your general public didn't know, and they didn't do well. Now, I will say this: I think the fact that that Sony's doing Bloodshot is an okay sign. Say what you will about the Amazing Spider-Man movies, I think more people feel comfortable with what Sony's done with Spider-Man than what most people feel that Fox has done with the Fantastic Four. And
I can agree with that.
And so I feel like that they have a good kind of understanding of it. But I feel like that this isn't going to be something that's going to excite the fan base. Like, people are going to be like, oh, an Archer and Armstrong movie. Like what? Like the 1,000 people who get that comic book on a monthly basis are going to be like, yay! It's not Superman. It's not Batman. It's not Doctor Strange even. It's not Iron Man. He doesn't.
I think you're underestimating the amount of readers that Valiant has.
I'm not underestimating the amount of readers that Valiant has, but if before Iron Man came out, if you went to people in the general public, I guarantee you more people kind of had an idea of who Iron Man is than people in the general public will have who Archer and Armstrong is.
Well, sure, but it's not 2008. We can thank Iron Man for opening up the floodgates for comic book movies to flourish the way that they have.
We can, but we can also, we can point, honestly, I think it's all going to come down to Ant-Man. I mean, that looks like...
Yeah.
Ant-Man...
Talking about, getting your point of, introducing a character that not many people know who he is. Mm-hmm. Now, he's got the backing of Marvel, though, and just mentioning him on the same page as Iron Man or Thor or any of those things, he's going to get recognition that he might not have gotten otherwise.
Absolutely. But I think that's going to kind of be the barometer because, again, it's a character that I feel like most comic book fans are familiar with, but how many people outside of comic books are familiar with? And, if you see a trailer for, if you saw the trailer for the first Iron Man movie, it was amazing. And that you really wanted to go and you really wanted to see that movie, whether you were a comic book fan or not. My parents were interested. My parents knew who Iron Man was. My parents don't know who Archer and Armstrong are. They're not going to go see an Archer and Armstrong movie.
Right. I get that.
And you can look at, there are other comic properties that have come out since then, like The Losers, like Red. There have been these movies that, excite the fan base. People have read them and people inside comic book fandom know who they are. But people outside don't, and those movies don't do as well. They're not Iron Man 3. They're not Avengers. They're not going to be what Guardians of the Galaxy is going to be.
Well, to solidify your point, when I think Valiant, I read the comics in the 90s. I liked Bloodshot. I loved Ninjak and Exo Manowar. And everything else was kind of, it didn't really pique my interest that much.
Yeah.
So when I heard Archer and Armstrong are coming to the theater, that led me to do more reading, and then I found out about Shadow Man and Bloodshot, and Archer and Armstrong's their big title, and I'm like, apparently I see the look that you're giving. Archer and Armstrong's their number one selling title.
It's
for
my
me,
understanding it's well written right now.
For me, Valiant has always been Bloodshot. It's always been Rye.
Yep.
It was Exo Manowar. So when I hear they're doing Archer and Armstrong and they're putting a lot of money and a lot of time and effort into this, I'm like, I know of that just like Harbinger. Harbinger is apparently a really good story too. Yeah. And not that that's going to movie. I'm just saying that's another title, but that's not one of the ones that I read as a comic book fan at all. It didn't even pique my interest. Mm-hmm. So I like the action. I think like Rye, Ninja, those things excite me. Those I want to see on a big screen. Archer and Armstrong, I know little of the story, and it's not that I won't eventually see it, but it's just not something I'm going to run to the theater and see.
Absolutely. I'm not, and I don't want any Valiant fans to start sending us hate mail.
I'm not yet.
Valiant's doing right now is great.
100%.
And I think this is big risk, big reward type deal. If they hit it out of the park and they make a movie that people want to see, it's only going to bring more money into Valiant for their comics. Absolutely. And it's only going to lead to bigger movies. And I think that's why they didn't lead with Exo Manowar, because you're going to sink that much money into a movie that you're unsure of, where Archer and Armstrong, you're not going to really have to do that. And you kind of got... It just makes it a little more financially sound to do a movie that isn't going to cost you $100 million to make.
Right. Yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah. I mean, it's all gonna boil down to what story they use, because I started reading Valiant when they redid all their stuff, and I bought every book, and it was a reboot. I think it was a hard
Yeah, a
reboot of the
light
entire
reboot.
series. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, are they gonna go with those stories? Or are they gonna go
I
with
think they
the
are.
origin stories, like the original ones?
I think that they're going to do a little bit of both, because if you go back and you reread the '90s Valiant stuff, it doesn't hold up well. It's like the Clone Saga, and like what a lot of people don't realize about early Valiant books is that a lot of them actually were tied into other stuff. Like people forget about like Dr. Solar was part of the Valiant universe. He's no longer part of the Valiant universe, but he was. And that you also had books like Magnus the Robot Fighter and Turok. And these were characters that had longer
Turok.
histories.
I forgot about Turok.
Yeah, like they had longer histories than Valiant. My only hope is that Valiant does gives a valiant effort and does a very good.
Oh,
I know, I just totally stuck that pun in there.
Ryan, you're so funny.
I know, right? And makes a really good movie, because if Valiant can succeed in doing that, what's to say that Image can't succeed in doing that? Or that, like, if those movies succeed, instead of trying to buy the rights from Marvel or DC to do the movies, why people will go do a movie about Chew. Someone will do a movie about Saga. Like, a lot of these big books.
Oh, that's a discussion too.
Yeah. But they'll do it with competence, and like we're kind of living in like the great golden age of the creator-owned comics, but we haven't seen movies. We've seen TV shows based on them, and I would like to see. I would like Saga to me could be our generation Star Wars. If they do it right, it could be that big and important of a story.
Yeah, they can do whatever they want with Saga. I'll back it 100%.
And if they do that, but all that comes down to Valiant, because if Valiant does it, then Fox may be willing to give, $250 million budget to a movie that your general Joe Smo isn't familiar with, because it's based on a really well written comic.
All right, how many people do you think the Walking Dead TV show turned into comics based off of Image?
Oh, tons. But exactly. But that was a TV show.
You see how good the TV show is, though.
Yeah.
Getting to your point that if Valiant knocks it out of the park, it could open up a world of opportunity for many other things. But it's gonna. But you're gonna. There's a bar that's set that you need to meet or exceed if you're talking about, like Image and Walking Dead. I mean, you're coming from that. You're coming off of Kirkman's great, fantastic story introduced in 2003.
Yep.
It took how many years before it even came to the screen?
Exactly.
But it was well thought out. It was well done, and now they've set the bar. So anybody that's wanting to come into this industry, there's a big shoes to fill.
Yeah. Well, and also, like,
think of. I'm sorry to cut you off, but before I forget, Letter 44 is a perfect example by Oni. If that that's apparently getting picked up by Sci-Fi. They've got, if they even want that to come close to taking off, it's got to at least do what Walking Dead has done on AMC.
But no, see, it doesn't.
Sci-Fi.
It doesn't have to do that, because it's on Sci-Fi. Like what a lot of people don't realize, and I know that we're completely off topic here talking about Walking Dead, but Walking Dead was once again low risk, high reward for AMC. Like AMC at the time had Breaking Bad and Mad Men, and those shows were considered monumental hits for AMC, and Walking Dead is routinely blowing away their numbers. Like, it's the most watched show. And look what's happened now. NBC is doing a Constantine show. Fox is doing a Gotham show. So, I mean, like, now you're seeing big networks willing to do this, and that's what you kind of have the opportunity with Archer and Armstrong.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I mean, all you have to do is just give them a chance. And they might just blow you out of the water, like the Constantine pilot that leaked forever ago. Like, I thought it was amazing.
We may or may not have seen.
May or may not have.
Yeah.
But they're redoing it and getting rid of the woman that was in it, right?
No, she's gonna be in it for like the first 4 episodes, and then they're gonna get rid of her.
Oh, okay. I
that
thought
was my understanding.
Yeah.
They already have the first 4 episodes in the can, and so they're gonna air those.
That, please. In the can is a derogatory statement, and I think that show's going to do good.
It's actually showbiz. Showbiz. You can't see the air quotes, people.
In the
I'm
books?
doing air quotes. In the books, done, completed.
Yeah, not in the can.
That's what they call it. I guess they don't call it anymore because it's no longer the film
Ghost
industry.
Rider #1 was in the can.
Oh man.
And on that note, I think it's time to move on.
Moving on to our next topic.
Da-da-da-da-da.
All right. We just talked about Image and them getting their big breaks and whatnot. They just won a couple Eisner Awards again for the next 2014 Eisner Awards. Saga killed it. They got Best Continuing Story. And on Saga, BKV, Brian K. Vaughan got Best Writer second year in a row.
Yeah,
Yes.
second year in a row.
And Fiona Staples got Best Artist. And Sex Criminals got Best New Series, even though it decided to take a 2 months off.
Yes.
I mean, I'm excited for them. I really liked Sex Criminals. I thought it was a good story. I would like to see it every month, but I know that's not going to happen.
No. Honestly, this just goes and shows you the quality of books that Image are putting out right now. Like, if I would have told you in '92 that Image would have some of the best critically received books out there, you would have laughed at me. I mean, at the time, they were putting out I'm not going to badmouth Spawn or Savage Dragon or any of those books. I am going to badmouth Youngblood. They were putting that out. They were putting out Darkhawk. Or wait, well, no, it wasn't Darkhawk. It was something else. But he looked like Wolverine, basically, like a purple and silver Wolverine. They were just putting out. They were putting out rip-off books with great artists and crappy stories.
Wait. With Rob Liefeld and crappy stories.
Yes. Oh no, because I mean.
No, I know. I get you. All you got to do is say Stephen Platt and Prophet. I'm sold. Okay, because that he set a bar as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I mean, they completely changed their business model, and they're showing people how it's done, and with how stagnant Marvel and DC have become recently, with just trying to protect the movie rights. Like, don't do anything stupid with these characters because we need them to be recognizable if a movie comes out. I mean, Image is just killing it, and like you can see it with the Eisner Awards. Like, say what you will, Saga is one of the best overall series that is being put out right there. Whether you love it or hate it or don't care about it, if you haven't read it, you don't know what you're missing. Yeah, it's a great book. It's epic in scale, and it's a game changer. It's changing the bar. I mean, even a couple years ago, we were talking about almost a 50-50 split between DC and Marvel for controlling most of the comic book universe, like, through sales and whatnot. And now they're down to, like, Marvel's a little over a third, DC's a little under a third, and the other third is going to all of these independent publishers who are putting out much better books than what DC and Marvel are on a monthly basis.
Yeah, I am a huge Saga fan, and we are actually coming up on the second stint where it won't be put out for a few months.
Mm-hmm.
Now I know that comes with when you don't have the demands of a Marvel and a DC. I think there's a little bit more lenience. And myself as a fan, if you're going to put out a book as good as Saga, I'm going to piss and moan about having to wait a few months for it.
Yeah.
But you know what? I know when it doesn't come out in August and I don't see it again until October or November, it's going to kick ass. And I'm all for it. That they can do whatever they need to do, because Image has slowly, over the past 2 years, become one of my favorite publishers.
Oh yeah.
You look at the time of Top Cow and the early Image, and you think Savage Dragon, and you think Spawn and Cyberforce, and all these. They were so superhero geared. I think they were trying so hard to fit in with Marvel and DC and create the next set of Batmans and Supermans, and I see in the 90s, I don't think it did so well for them. It introduced a lot of new
Oh,
art
it did
for us.
great for them.
Well, yeah.
Those books sold very well. It just
They
ultimately
did, but
led
it
to like
out.
Exactly, it led to the crash. And
Right.
and if you look at those, like, and I'm not bad mouthing any of the guys who founded Image. I won't even badmouth Rob Liefeld. I mean, yeah, he can't draw anyone, but the man was smart enough to frickin' come up with Image. So good for him. I mean,
it's not that he can't draw. He
it's
can
just that
draw.
everyone
He
looks
just
like
has
Cable.
nobody has any feet, and everybody's head's really small.
And the chest is like.
But, I mean, but Rob Liefeld really, not to go off on a tangent, we'll make it quick, but Rob Liefeld and what he did at Image, well, starting with Deadpool in New Mutants 98 at Marvel, and then everything else coming after that, he kind of brought us to a new world of art, you know?
Well, you know what? Like,
I sincerely think that if it wasn't for Rob Liefeld, we wouldn't see the Hulk as hulking as he is right now. His art paved the way for some really big, bulky, over-the-top art for, large characters. So, but that's
I hate to say it, but as much as people still look at Todd McFarlane as like the creme de la creme, and Eric Larson as like the number two, at the time when Image was founded, it was founded on the fact that Rob Liefeld was the superstar artist of the time.
Rob Liefeld was the man.
He was at the time. And you know what? Like, looking back on it, yeah, we all laugh, and we've all heard the rumors of him tracing and all that other stuff. But ultimately, his plan to get these characters in the hands of the creators so that they can control them has led to this awesome golden age of non-superhero comics.
Right. Yeah, I think, like I was saying, over the past 2 years, Image has worked its way right into my good graces. I'm finding myself, I think, Ryan, you and I both agree, I'm finding myself with less and less Marvel and DC on my pull list, less superhero stuff. I stick to the flagships, I really enjoy I'm actually enjoying Superman, Batman, I like Amazing X-Men, like the bigger titles I'm really, kind of in love with right now, but those are the only ones. I'm really not going off on, I tried Teen Titans. I might give it a second try. Punisher kind of fizzled out for me, but I still have my main Amazing Spider-Man. I'll always read that no matter what. But then you get Image, and they're dropping number ones left and right, and you're thinking, man, these guys, with so many number ones, it's like they're going quantity over quality. We're going to drop a shit ton of number ones, and maybe one or two of them will stick, but to be honest with you, every number one that they're coming up with lately, I'm finding less and less number ones that I don't like.
I know.
If Image puts out a number one, I'm going to grab it. I love news stories. I want to read something new. I love to be the first person, well, not the first person, but I love to get right on board right from the beginning of something.
Yeah.
And I'm having the ability to do that with tons and tons and tons of issues thanks to Image, and I'm finding 8 out of 10 books I love and I don't want to put down, and I can't wait for issue number 2.
Well, here's the whole thing, too, with Image. It's not only helping them out, but I mean, with me, when a new number one comes out, even from like Boom or Ani or any of these other like Dynamite, any of these publishers that people don't usually consider, I've been picking up, and I found some of my favorite books that are being put out right now, like Dead Letters, which we're going to talk about a little later. Like
The Woods.
The Woods. Yep.
Yeah, yep.
Letter 44, Life After. I mean, like, all these books are coming out, and I'm really enjoying them. And before, when I look at myself as a younger comic book fan, if it didn't have the DC symbol or the Marvel symbol on it, I really didn't pick it up. And now it's like I pick it up, and I'm enjoying them so much more. Like like you said, the books that I stick with at DC are Superman titles, Lantern titles,
Batman.
Flash titles, like the books that I grew up reading, the ones that I have like the long runs on. But I keep on dropping more and more of those just so I can grab more, smaller press, if you want to call them indie press books, because they're the better stories right now.
That brings me to an interesting theory. Knowing that you and I are close to the same age and that we had similar tastes as young readers, in the interest of not necessarily the same, but in the interest of superheroes.
Yeah.
And now we have Jake here, who's a little bit younger, so we can actually ask his opinion. So, do you think that our tastes have changed because we've gotten older and matured. And I think years ago, I don't think I would have even been interested in a book that didn't have somebody with a cape.
Personally,
but now I'm older, I really enjoy reading comic books, and I read them for enjoyment. But at the same time, I don't read novels and things like that. So this is how I get my reading in.
Yeah.
So because I'm older now, am I leaning more towards books that have a different kind of content? And now looking at Jake has been thrown right into this world where he has all of these, as a younger comic book guy, you've got all these different things at your fingertips, and you can pick and choose if you want superheroes, if you want this, if you want that. Whereas me and Ryan grew up in the 70s and 80s, we didn't have as many options. We were limited to more superheroes.
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
I think you kind of hit it on the head. I don't know. I think when we were growing up in a really good time to be a comic book fan. Like
Sure.
if you look at the late 70s or even early 70s through the 80s, I mean, you're talking about like the heart of the Bronze Age when comic books were growing up from really kid stuff to kind of those more mature stories.
Right.
When I personally was growing up as a comic book fan, it was it was like the British invasion. Like you had Grant Morrison just starting, Neil Gaiman on Sandman. You also had with like the main DC books, like you're talking about like the death of Superman started in '92. And then you have the replacement of Hal Jordan by Kyle Rayner. Wally West was Green Lantern. You had Connor Hawke replace Oliver Queen as Green Arrow. So like it was like a really good jumping on point. What I think has changed about comics is it used to be that you had to write for DC or Marvel to make a name for yourself, and then you could go to Image. And now you don't have to have a name for yourself. You can be someone who has very limited work on Marvel. Yeah. Right. You can have very limited work at Marvel and DC and then go write a really good book at Image, and people care who the creators are, but it's not like if they've never heard of you, it's not like they're not going to pick it up, you know? Right, it's not like where it used to be before where, I used to be like, well, I'll pick up anything that has Grant Morrison's name on it. It's not so much like that. I'm like, oh, this book looks interesting. Oh, and it happens to be written by Grant Morrison.
Yeah, like with me, like you said, like is it like the age? Like I started reading comics with Flashpoint, and that led me into DC, which was a perfect jumping on point. And then I, was like, oh, what's going on in Marvel? And like I never read anything by Image or anything like that. And then as it went on, I saw all these books being put out. I was like, oh, like you said, Image has like 20 number ones coming out a month. And I'm like, it's easy to just jump on one and get going. I mean, it's not like they're doing it to get money. They're doing it to get people out there and like get their name.
They're doing it to get money.
Well, yeah, that. Yeah. But like mainly to like get creators like out there. Like I've never heard of the people who make Manifest Destiny, and I absolutely love it. It's like one of my favorite books. And I'm like, I've never heard anything or read anything by these people, and like I want to read more.
Yeah.
For the record, Flashpoint is a strange jumping on point for a new reader.
Yes.
But you know what? That was
the entire point.
But that was the whole point of Flashpoint. The New 52.
It was so hard.
Ryan's tangent.
Hold on.
That's all I'm saying.
Hold on.
It's the same thing with A versus X.
Yeah. It was hard for me to get into it because I'm like, why is the Flash going back in time? What's happening? But I personally didn't care because it had everything that I liked. And you said AVX, like
I'm just picking on you, man. It's fine. Flashpoint was actually really good. So.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if you look at it, like, that was the idea at that time. You had A versus X, which didn't really reset the Marvel Universe, but gave him a chance to do all those number ones. And you had Flashpoint that kind of soft reset the DC Universe. As much as people want to call it a hard reset, you can't sit there and say there's 5 years where everything that we could possibly ever want to use happened and say that that's a hard reset. But I mean, like, it's a completely different environment now than when we were growing up. In '92, Image was just starting.
Right.
And even they were putting out knockoffs of X-Men, Teen Titans, like whatever books were popular at the time, they were knocking off. So now it's kind of interesting to see like horror books come out like Nailbiter, seeing like, sci-fi adventures like Saga coming out and not having anything to do with superhero comics, like Manifest Destiny. It has absolutely nothing to do with superhero comics and just hitting it out of the park.
So, bottom line, kudos to Image, and
Yes.
thank you for bringing us all this wonderful content and opening the doors for all these different creators and writers and publishing companies to bring us some of the most awesome stories that we've read in a number of years.
And good job, Image, for killing it at the Eisners.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so let's go on to our buy, borrow, burn.
Do it. Do it.
All right, we're going
Burn
to
it.
start with you, Alan. Alan, what was your book that you wanted to buy, borrow, or burn?
Hands down, Saga 21. Saga was amazing to buy. It's consistent every month.
The thing I like about Saga is like the perfect character development. Like, I'm attached to every single character in this book.
Yes, I am too.
And
every one of them. I agree totally.
Like, when a random character dies, I'm like, you know what? That's awesome.
She had it coming, you know, like the reveal. You know, you're talking about this most recent issue, right?
Yeah.
Where Prince Robot's on that the sex planet.
Yeah.
And she brings him the news, and he's like, and he just I don't even know what he used.
Like,
it was something in
his
laser
hand
beam or
blaster.
something. Yeah. And he's just like, you pissed me off. You die. But I kind of felt bad for her because she's been in previous issues. It's not like she was this was the first time we'd seen her.
Yeah.
That was the chick that ran the whole planet. Yeah. So I'm like, oh wow, she didn't really deserve to die, but you pissed off the wrong guy. So, but yeah, no, I can understand it. You get attached to everybody in that story, and you really feel for Alana and Marco's relationship.
Yep.
Because you see it heading right down the gutter, and you almost feel like there's nothing that can be done about it. But it's a riveting story, man. Every month is amazing. I love it.
All right, I give it a buy. You need to buy at least 4 copies a month. What about you, Alan?
It's definitely a buy.
And Ryan, what do you give it, buddy? What do you give Saga?
It.
Oh,
Yay! After all the talk about how great Saga is,
this guy.
It's actually, you know what? I read it through trades, so I am a hipster when it comes to this book.
You said I was a hipster.
But Ryan can step outside the box and see the value and see the good of the book. It's not his cup of tea, which I can appreciate. I mean, that's fine.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like with the way that people rave about the book, I think if you're looking for something to check out, hunt down the first trade paperback. I think there's 2 or 3 out right now.
Absolutely. Yep.
If you saw Fiona Staples announce the cover to the hardcover,
what's her name? The baby breastfeeding.
Elena. Yeah. Is it Elena?
Yeah.
No.
No, Alana is the mom. Marco's the dad, and then the baby is.
Oh crap!
Crap, man. Blank. I've read 21 issues for the past 2 years. It's on the tip of my tongue. It's on the tip of my tongue.
I have no idea.
I have no idea.
Continue talking. I'm gonna find it right now.
Okay, so let's move on to another book.
All right, Batman. Let's talk about Batman and how great it was.
Year ended. Yay!
Are you reading Batman, Ryan?
No, I read Batman and Robin.
No.
I do not read Batman.
Alan, are you reading Batman?
Nope.
Okay, so I will be
every issue of Batman.
I own every issue.
Yeah.
I read the first issue of Zero Year.
Yeah.
I don't. Was it back in issue like 20 or something?
It's been 12
I'm like,
issues.
This is a retelling of Batman's origin. I'll pass, but I have the full run.
It's not a retelling of his origin.
But that first one was, and I'm like, oh wait, this is going to be another year of retelling Batman's origin.
Goodness, no. Okay.
So apparently now I'm going to have to go back and reread it, which, okay. I'm a man that can admit my mistakes.
It has been a whole 12 issues. Yes, 12 months of the Zero Year. And about halfway through, I was like, is this really going to be a whole year? Like, I don't want this to continue. And then it felt like there was so much filler. Like, oh, Batman's going to be doing this, and then we're going to show Commissioner Gordon, and then it's like...
Hazel! Sorry.
Yay!
Good, okay.
Okay, go ahead. All right, Batman.
Okay, and, like, the ending was just perfect. Yes, it was $5, but I'd pay $5 for Snyder and Capullo any day of the week. But, I mean, it was a perfect ending to the story, and I'm excited for what Snyder does continuing. Yes.
You know what? As someone who doesn't read Batman, I was very happy that they brought back the purple gloves for Batman.
Mhm.
I thought that was something that has been very much missing from his mythos. Like, Batman needs his purple gloves. I'm kidding. This is completely me being a jerk because I don't care about hearing another Batman origin story. It's really weird, too, because everything I've been reading up to the conclusion of the 0-year story, people were like you halfway through, they were getting tired of it and they thought it was going on for way too long. But as this last issue came out, a lot of people were talking about how this is the story that really made it Snyder's Batman. That's everything, like it was like his manifesto for what his Batman was. And it kind of explained where a lot of his angles were coming on from Batman, like the importance of Gotham City, the idea that Bruce Wayne and Batman are very much two sides of the same coin. And that made me kind of rethink it. I was a huge fan of Scott Snyder's run on Detective Comics before he got Batman. It was one of my favorite Batman stories.
Mm-hmm.
And I have the first couple of trades, but Batman's just not a book that I feel comfortable spending $3.99 for every month. And another origin story. I mean, you did Batman Year One. Anything you do after that is going to pale in comparison to Batman Year One or Long Halloween.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I give it 100% a buy, even though none of you read it. You should read it. It was a really good ending. It really showed what Snyder was doing and how he was trying to show you who his Batman is. Like, this is his Bruce Wayne. This is his Gotham. Like, this is what he's gonna do, continuing on. I hope he never leaves it, but I mean,
he will. He'll break your heart like Jeff Johns broke mine on Green Lantern.
I'm so sad. Robert Venditti, I love you on Exo Manowar, but God dang it. Okay, well, moving on. We're gonna do 2 more books by Barbara Byrne. I know we all want to talk about Amazing Spider-Man #4.
Yeah.
For
those of you who haven't followed us on I'd Rather Be Reading Comics.com, we have a little special section called Speculator's Corner, and this book has been on Speculator's Corner since the site was founded because of the whole idea that the Silk was going to make her appearance in it. Mm-hmm. So why don't we talk about what we thought of the Silk, her first appearance, and this issue?
It was lackluster. I didn't like it. This book will be worth a lot of money in the future. I give it a borrow.
Wow, I think that was short and to the point. And Jake, I really agree with you. It was kind of like everything I don't like about Dan Slott's Spider-Man in one issue. Mm-hmm. Like everything that kind of bothers me. And there were some lines like, I can smell her. Wasn't that one of the lines?
I think so, yeah.
Moreland said. And it really gave me an inappropriate picture of, like, a dog in heat. Like, it was just, it wasn't what I really expected. The Silk wasn't what I expected. I assumed that it was going to be a new villain for Spider-Man, not so much a character that was just kind of thrown haphazardly in there as a way to explain why Spider-Verse is going to happen. And I agree with Jake. I think it's just a borrow, but you should probably go buy it because if they don't kill her off in Spider-Verse, I'm sure she'll have her own spin-off series in a year or two.
Yeah, and if you go on the site, you read my review, I said the issue itself, the physical copy of the issue, and the variant receive a buy because Amazing Spider-Man and its new characters usually increase in price. But the story, it was a borrow. It wasn't a burn because I like Spider-Man and I like Dan Slott, but you kind of need to read this in order to continue on with the story.
It's definitely setting up what's going to happen in Spider-Verse. Yeah. I mean, it's important for that reason alone.
Yeah. All right. And Alan, what do you give Amazing Spider-Man?
Solely based on the fact that it's the first appearance of a character who in Silk, who's apparently supposed to be an integral part of the Spider-Man universe over the next year.
Did you like Silk? Like, did you think that she was a cool character?
I
Would you like her awesome costume?
I guess her costume is horrendous. That's the only thing that comes to mind. It looks like a terrible. I don't know if either of you guys are familiar with The Weird.
No.
Yes.
From 1986, the DC comic book.
Yes.
But he's very unkempt, and his costume is just willy-nilly. It looks like a bunch of red ace bandages just kind of all over the place. That's Silk with webbing. She's like, I'll just put some here, I'll splash some over there. Oh, I should cover my face up a little bit. It was, I was expecting this fantastic, just awesome, and it was just such a disappointment.
Yeah.
It was so bad.
You know,
on that note, go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was always going to say is that she is such a throwaway
Oh my
character
God, like
right
Alpha?
now. With
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's no personality there, and that's what kind of kills a character. Like she comes off as like this mad female version of Spider-Man who's been locked up in a bunker for God knows
Way
how
stronger.
long. Way stronger. Who can do
No. She's not stronger. She's faster.
Okay.
Because Spider-Man even said on that that he says, I think I've got her in the strength department at one point. But
so is this like Superior Spider-Woman? Is that what her series is going to be?
No.
I don't.
We already have a superior Iron Man and a superior Spider-Man. Let's not continue the superior trend. Please.
No, I think she can be an interesting character. I just don't. I don't see how it's going to play out. I don't dislike the idea of that spider biting one more person before it kicked the bucket. Yeah. I'm really interested in her story. I can't wait to see how they're going to write her. As of right now, I'm not.
It looks like they're going to write her poorly, Alan.
I pre-ordered this book when I found out about it in February. They're like, oh, new character's coming, issue 4. It's going to be a big deal. And I'm like, okay, wow. And there's been all this hype behind it. And for all the hype that was behind it, I expected issue 4 to blow me away, and it didn't do anything for me, really. So.
Last book. Do you have anything that you wanted to...
Well, you know, I thought that we were going to talk about Batman and Robin, but if you're leaving it up to me, I want to talk about Letter 44, which I know neither one of you reads. Letter 44, I write the reviews for I'd Rather Be Reading Comics on the book. This is my saga. This is the series that I love more than any other book that they put out right now. It's done by Oni. It's not done by Image. It's a great premise, and it's written by Charles Soule. And if you're not familiar with his work on Red Lanterns and you're not familiar with his work on She-Hulk, pick those books up as well. But it was just a really great issue. I kind of thought it was going to be going in a different direction because the last issue of Letter 44 was like a flashback issue, so I thought that maybe we were going to get a little bit more of the backstory of these characters, and instead it jumps you right back into the action. And that's what I love about this book. And Soleil writes some of the best cliffhangers in the business right now. It's definitely a book that you should pick up. And the first trade paperback comes out this week.
It comes out this
Wednesday,
week?
so it's definitely worth picking up.
Okay.
Yep.
So, okay. I might pick it up. It's what Albuquerque does the art.
Yes. And I won't lie, it takes a while to get used to his art. And in this issue, he had an issue off, and in this issue, there were issues with how his characters were proportioned, and there was also a point in which it looked like one of the characters had gotten hit in the face with a frying pan. Like, that's how flat and round it was. But, I mean, overall, like, what he excels at is, like, drawing alien technology, drawing those emotional scenes. He's not really good at doing, like, the walking and talking art. He's really good when he's given the big action.
All right, so you give it
a solid buy, and buy the trade paperback.
All right, we're gonna move on to our upcomings, which is the 29th, the 30th, the 30th. Books coming on the 30th. Last week we kind of went on a rant for about 20 minutes.
About 20 minutes.
So,
said you and I were not reading and had no desire to know what was coming out.
So
let's try to keep it short and sweet.
We're going to keep it short. You know, as everyone knows, we're in like the beginning stages. It's issue 3, so we're not gonna have everything perfect on issue 3. So we'll start off with a good handful of books that we all enjoy. I'll start off. Outcast continues this week, and I personally enjoyed Outcast. I convinced someone who doesn't read Image or any other comic that's not superhero to read
Outcast.
yes. Alan, what are you doing?
I enjoyed the first Outcast enough to want to read issue 2, but I don't know if it had so much weight behind it because it's Kirkman and because it's The Walking Dead, and I didn't dislike it. I think it's a story I can get into.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping it kind of keeps the thrilling pace that it had.
The art was the one thing that kept me like going because the art was amazing.
Yeah, the art was great, and it's a different kind of story. It's not something you see every day, and I like that. It's interesting.
Yeah. All right. One more book that's coming out. Ryan.
We have Dead Letters 4 coming out. And it's by Boom. It's one of my favorite books coming out every month. It's about the best way to describe it is it's a film noir movie set in purgatory. And it's just really fun to read. The art's really great. It's a book that I was thoroughly surprised. Once again, it was one of those books I picked up the number 1 because I had a little extra money because I wasn't going to pick up whatever other issue that sucked that month, and decided to give it a try, and I've been hooked ever since. So I'm really excited to see that 4 is coming out.
All right. Alan, what book?
Hello.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I'm anticipating it. I've been anticipating this book for damn near a year.
Now, hold on. Like, do you know what it's going to be about for anyone that might
Absolutely.
not know?
Yeah, Low is going to be about a... I guess I don't know the best way to explain it. There's it's just life is sustained underwater. So Image seems to have a lot of stuff about, well, not necessarily Image, but there's a lot of stories about stuff going on underwater.
A lot of kids screw up with The Little Mermaid.
So you got this civilization that's underwater, and life above ground is dangerous. There are things up there that can harm you. I want to say it has the feel of your basic run-of-the-mill aftermath story, or what's the word I'm looking for?
Apocalyptic?
Apocalyptic. I guess you could say. And apparently there's somehow somebody got word of something again, but they need to send somebody up there to find out. And they take this small crew of people to go up there, and there's death at every turn. There's so many different ways that they can die. There's creatures and traps, and it just seems like a really compelling story. I'm sure there's a lot more to it than what I'm giving, but that's just a vague description that I remember reading about it. I'm just really excited about it. It sounded like a really awesome story, something new and different that I wanted to get into. So,
all right, that sounds pretty good. Another book, Hawkeye is making its triumphant return.
Finally,
after like 4 months.
Oh yeah.
And it's ending in like 2 more issues.
Yeah. So way to go.
Whatever.
If you haven't been reading Hawkeye, pick up the trades. It is by far one of the most entertaining books from start to finish. It's definitely one of those books that Marvel is trying to copy with other books like Secret Defenders, and I look forward to it every time it does come out. I can't say every month because it's been forever and a day since it came out. But it's just always so enjoyable and always puts a smile on my face. It reminds me of like older comics that I read, like Justice League International, when that book was coming out, where every issue would just make you laugh and smile for different reasons.
Yeah. Wake makes its finale this week. If any of you have been reading Wake, are you reading Wake, Brian?
No.
Alan?
You know what? I stopped reading it
when?
Because I want to say after issue 5 or 6.
Okay.
Because I found out that there's a hardcover coming out, which I've already pre-ordered through my LCS, and I will be reading that book deliciously in one setting. It started off as amazing, and it's killing me not reading it because it is friggin' awesome. But I'm going to wait and enjoy it all at once. So I'm happy that it's coming out. I'm sad that it's only a 10-issue arc and then it's coming to an end, but it is an amazing read.
Okay. Yeah. I'm excited for it. It's been a little while since issue 9. So. All right.
Yeah, there was a bit of a delay on there, wasn't it? Wasn't there?
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy it's ending because more money in my pocket.
No, there'll be something else that comes out, and you're gonna pick that up.
Don't remind me.
I know how it works.
Don't make me look
It's
at
an
my wallet.
addiction.
All right. That about does it for the books. Well, I picked a winner early on in the conversation for the around the horn, and I chose Alan
Yay!
because
Yeah, baby.
because he was a great person for consoling Ryan for crying during Green Lantern.
He's a great friend, people. You should all be lucky to have an Alan Martin in your life.
Yeah.
Alan, what do you want to shout out?
Oh, let's see. So many things. I wasn't really prepared for this. I want to thank the Academy.
Jesus, my mom.
No, let's. I don't know what to talk about, so I'm gonna throw out there that a few more months we're gonna have the option to read Witches, which is coming out by Image, something that I'm highly anticipating.
Who
Scott
writes it?
Snyder and artist Jock.
Oh,
And this is a completely new take on anything that you think of from Witches. When you think Witches, you think the pointy black hat and the wart on the nose. And I was actually, I got a solicitation in the emails for the group, and I was able to read the first couple pages of it. And let me tell you, it is unlike anything. If this keeps the pace of the couple pages that I read, and it's as solid as I want it to be from Snyder and Jock, this is going to be a hell of a story.
and when does it come out?
I'm thinking they're going to do it around Halloween time. I think it's October-ish. Yeah. But yeah, this is going to take witches to an all new level. This is making them creatures that dwell in the forest that prey on humans and babies, and yeah, this is going to be like sick.
Snyder at his finest.
So, yeah, it's going to be good. So that's my tidbit of info for you guys.
All right. Where can you be reached on Twitter?
Me?
Yeah, you.
I_R_B. It's just IRBRC with the underscores. That's me.
All right. Well, that about does it for issue 3. We have a treat for you. After this, we're going to do a about 20 to 30 minute Batman podcast because it's the 75th anniversary of our Lord and Savior, the Batman. So go ahead and listen to that. It'll be on the YouTube and on the site.
You make it sound so exciting, Jake. Thank you.
It's not that exciting. But that does it for issue 3. We'll see you next time. This is Jake signing off.
This is Ryan signing off.
And Alan.
Alan doesn't sign off.
Alan does not sign off, and that's where we're going to end
Alan is
it.
always here.
All right, guys. See ya.
Thank you.
Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thieves just like flies. Look out, here comes the Spider-Man.